I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is News and Week in Review, where we're going to go over a variety of news things. We actually have a bunch of games, some that have been talked about for the past few weeks, some just this past week, but a bunch of things I haven't yet talked about. We have a bunch of various news pieces, links and everything down below. We have a topic of the week, and of course we have the various videos, the games I played, all of those things. Links and timestamps to everything we talk about in this video. Starting off the bat with the news pieces, and over here starting off, we have So-Called Living. This is a new comic that's going to be coming to Kickstarter soon from Mark Meyer from Board Game Coffee, if you want to check this one out. Currently, it's over on Webtoons and free to read at the moment. At least so far. I'm a few pages in so far and need to continue reading and finishing through it. But if you're looking for a slightly humorous, slightly vampire/zombie situation, this is So-Called Living. Then over here we have a bunch of Euro games that have been announced. We have Orléans the Plague, an expansion, the Plague, I don't want to say the Plague. Orléans the Plague, an expansion for Orleans, which has been out for a while and getting more content coming from DLP Games, which I think Capstone currently distributes Orleans now, I believe. I'm not entirely sure who has what, but the Plague is going to be a new expansion, but we're far from done. We have a Hochsaison, the Grand Hotel Roll and Write. This is a roll and write for the Grand Austria Hotel, going to be in that universe over here, which definitely has me intrigued. I always like trying these games out. More often than not, I find that when you have an offshoot of a game, I usually prefer the original, but there are certainly exceptions. A good example would be a Fleet Roll and Write. I prefer Fleet Roll and Write to Fleet the actual game. There are others in that vein, but more often, or Explore and Draw. Isle of Cats Explore and Draw, I prefer that to Isle of Cats. But either way, very intrigued to Grand Austria Hotel Roll and Write. I'll be checking that one out at some point. We have Pirates of Maracaibo, coming to you from Alexander Pfister, and as well as, Ralph Bennett and Ryan Hendrickson. This is going to be a standalone game in the Maracaibo universe, so Pirates of Maracaibo is coming out, and we're far from done. We have the Cathedral of Orléans, again from DLP, going to be a cooperative, I believe. I believe it's a cooperative tile-laying game, or cooperative, maybe not tile-laying, cooperative game over here, if you see this. So, cooperative, game in the Orléans universe. Then we have over here, moving away from our Euro games, we have Cobra Kai board game coming from Asmodee, available at Walmart. This is going to be a Cobra Kai Road to Victory. It's going to be more of a mass market game, but I'm curious. Some of these games really do hit well. Like Stranger Things, which I just recently reviewed on the channel, is one that I actually really enjoyed and thought was an excellent mass market game that will bring people into the hobby. Cobra Kai, don't know a thing about this one yet, past obviously watching Karate Kid. All four of them growing up, they were amazing. First one's still the best. Second one's pretty darn solid. So is the third one, for that matter. And the fourth one is an offshoot that was interesting and fun to watch. I watched a few episodes of the TV show, but haven't heavily dove into the Netflix TV show. I think it's Netflix. Wasn't it Amazon at one point? Then Netflix picked it up. I haven't followed. I'm too into board games. I don't really follow what goes on past things. Unless they become a board game, then I have to go ahead. Now I'm going to watch the entire Cobra Kai to get caught up. But that's going to be Cobra Kai. Then we have over here, we have EVE Online. EVE Online's a fun one. This is going to be a board game. It's coming to Kickstarter at some point. This actually announced like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I believe. But I just found out about it, so I'm talking about it now. But EVE Online is going to be made into a board game and coming to you at some way, shape, or form. I am very intrigued. This is a massive online game. One of the things I heard about this game that was phenomenally amazing was at one point they had a battle in the EVE Online universe that cost like hundreds of thousands of dollars of real world value were lost in the battle. Like it was a massive clan battle or something, and everything for weeks people were going at it and continuously investing resources that could cost money. And so they estimated that the cost of this battle was hundreds of thousands of dollars, which was just fascinating to think about. The fact that if you're pouring time, effort, and resources into a board game, into a massive online multiplayer arena game, and you lose those time, effort, and resources, there is a cost no different than a real war. I shouldn't say no different than a real war. Last week I'm advocating for shoplifting, and this week I'm saying that playing video games is the same as killing people. It's not a good string of weeks for me. In any case, it's definitely very different than a real war, but the concept of having consequences to a digital war is similar to the concept of having... It's not similar. I should just stop doing these videos. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to the next bit over here. This is going to be, I think, this last one over here, which is sleeves. Board Game Geek had a very large geek list that helped you find sleeves. There's actually another site as well. I think it's called Sleeve Your Games, if I'm not mistaken, that I've used in the past. Haven't used it in a bit, so I don't know how up to date it is. But Board Game Geek, they had a very, very large geek list for sleeving games, and they've turned it into an actual tool. So if I go ahead and find some, sample sleeve pages, if I click on Everdell over here, you can see there are like more of an actual list of like, hey, here's the sleeves you over here, here's the quality, the premium, links to various ways to buy those sleeves. So it's giving you much more of an actual sleeve guide to being able to sleeve your games and the breakdown of sleeves that you need in a way that's much more visual and user-friendly. So if you're looking for that kind of information, well, that's useful to have. So now you have it, basically, there. Also, like, don't shoplift, and real wars are bad. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next bit over here, which is going to be, let's go ahead and pause this over here, and the next bit is going to be the topic of the week, I believe. We're going to put this off to the side. The topic of the week is inspired by a comment I got on one of my videos recently. And usually, like, that's something like, where it's like, you know, I dive into a whole rabbit hole of X, Y, and Z, whatever. So, the comment I got on a recent video was, I think it was the Gencon haul video. So I came back to Gencon with a lot of games that were given to me by publishers to review. So again, it's like very few of those games, a handful of those games were bought, most of them were given to review, and I like made that very clear in the videos, like, you know, set realistic expectations. I do cover a lot of games, I work with a lot of publishers, so there's a difference to what I will come back with to what your average person will. Although, I've actually been meaning to put up a poll on the channel, so check out if you missed it already. If you missed it, there was a poll that went up on the channel this past week, which means after this video I'm going to go put the poll up, and whenever you see it, you see it. But if you missed it, there's a poll that went up on the channel this week that actually asks you how much you spend on conventions and how much you spend on games on conventions, or something along those lines. I'd love to see your input on that, because I'm very, very intrigued. But past that, I came back with a lot of games. And somebody else commented on the video, I can't remember what the comment was, but something along the lines of like, oh my gosh, there's so many games, I don't know when I'll have time to play them all. Something along, very, very nice, sweet, innocent comment, nothing wrong with it at all. And somebody else commented as a reply, who really cares? Nobody's going to remember these games existed in a year. Something along those lines. I don't remember the exact exchange. I do not remember at all. But there's one person who was just kind of like in awe of all the new games. Another person who was jaded about how fast games turn around and how they're never really in existence. Again, the language used by either party, I don't remember. And neither one of these people was in any way a bad person in the slightest. Not that saying a comment that makes you a bad person, but I don't even have a problem with the comments. I just spent way too much time getting lost into a rabbit hole. But the point is, the comment exchange made me think and was curious about last year. This past year, I did 3 videos. I did 3 full videos covering games from Gen Con. I was like 15, 15, 15. I covered 45 different games out of the 500 or so games that were being shown, sold, or whatever at Gen Con. So I covered around 10% and showed off those 10%, which is going to be fascinating, because what I'm doing now, I'm going to do again next year. And what I'm doing now is this exchange made me think. Last year I did a single video of 10 games that I was excited about at Gen Con. And I was curious, are those 10 games still games that are worth being excited about? Are they still games that are in the public eye? Because I understand the perception, the idea that at any given point, so many games are in rotation, and so many games that show up, nobody ever cares that they exist ever again. And so it's actually interesting, because there's 2 different lists. There's the 50 or so games I came home with, and then there's the 50 or so games I highlighted, and those are different lists with crossover. But as far as my list from last year, I'm basically going to go over last year's Gen Con highlight list that I did on the channel, and then talk about which of those 10 games I still think are in the public eye, which of them still have legs, because it's true that so many games come out every year that don't have legs. But I'm curious which ones do. So to start off with, we had Planet Unknown. I talked about how excited I was for Planet Unknown, and Planet Unknown, I guarantee you, still has legs. That's a game people are still excited about, still very interested in, still trying to pick up, and so Planet Unknown is definitely still around. By the same publisher, we have Four Humors. Four Humors, I would argue, didn't have legs back then, and it still doesn't have legs. It is a game from Adam's Apple Games, and it's a game that has quirkiness and charm, and people like it, but it does not have the same degree of appeal that many of these other game systems do. So I think Four Humors last year was a little known, little loved game. The Kickstarter did like 40,000, so again, not a ton of interest there. I just happen to really enjoy it and recommend it. I think it's quirky and charming, but again, I don't think it had legs then. I don't think it has legs now. We have Cora Quest. Cora Quest is a game I definitely highlighted. I was very intrigued by Cora Quest. I think it's a great family game. It's still around. They have an expansion now. They have expansion. They have a campaign of this expansion. Still, is picked up by another publisher or picked up by someone else to distribute. So still definitely around as a kid-friendly, accessible game that people enjoy and like. We have Empire's End. This is one that definitely hasn't really landed with any critical appeal, at least not yet. Empire's End is from John D. Clare, and it's a more glorified version of No Thanks to a degree, with more going on in it. Back at the time, last year when I talked about it, they just had a Kickstarter campaign. I think it was available to demo or whatnot at Gen Con last year, and I haven't heard much about it since then. I don't even know if it's fully delivered. It's just not a game that's really been in the public eye yet. We'll see what happens there, but definitely one that has gone by the wayside. We had Fall of the Mountain King from Burnt Island Games. That's still around, still getting a lot of hype and buzz. It was for sale this year at Gen Con. It's a game that's getting a lot of good ratings and is enjoyed by many people, and so Fall of the Mountain King is still around. We have Isle of Cats Explore and Draw, which coincidentally I talked about earlier in this video. But Isle of Cats Explore and Draw is still a game that is exciting to people. It's still a game that still has that presence, although unfortunately they actually weren't at Gencon this year. They had some snafu, and City of Kings, or City of Games, or whatever the name of the company is, they weren't at Gencon this year, even though they're supposed to be. But Isle of Cats Explore and Draw, still around, still popular, and still picked up. We have Dune Imperium Rise of Ix. I mean, I guess maybe it won't be popular anymore, but it still will be, because Dune Imperium, they announced Dune Imperium, the standalone version, Dune Imperium Uprising, I think it's called, and the expansions will still be compatible to that. So Rise of Ix was very much a game that's very popular last year, still very, very popular today. We also have Mosaic. Mosaic from Forbidden Games. Mosaic from Forbidden Games. They now have an expansion to that one. The expansion just started to deliver just recently. Again, a game that's very much still available, still in the public eye, still has a lot of hype and buzz and ratings around it. We have Scout. Scout is a game that from... I can't remember the company. I remember the name. Oink Games. Oink Games. They have Scout, which everyone loves Scout and cannot wait to try to get their hands on it again and again. That game consistently sells out whenever you try to get your hands on it. We have Marrakesh from Queen Games, one of the newest games from Queen Games, and again, they have an expansion on Kickstarter as we speak, and it's a game that still has multiple versions. It has the deluxe edition, the regular edition, the essential edition. It has expansions now. Marrakesh is very much around and very much getting a lot of rave reviews, and people who are spending $200 to get their hands on a copy, it's insane, but Marrakesh is still around. And then lastly, we have Last Light, which again, definitely around. Last Light available last year at Gen Con 2 demo, and this year people were lining up to try to get their hands on a copy. They're only selling like 25 copies a day. The copies were selling out. They could not keep them in stock. Last Light is absolutely a game that is still very much in the public eye. Ultimately, my point with this list is that I do believe that every single year, hundreds of games come out that we never talk about again. I also believe that many do stick around. I believe that many games do stick around every single year, and then they stick around for a variable number of times. Sometimes those games stick around for a year. Sometimes we're talking about them for the next 4 years. Sometimes they are still around 7 years later. You know, Terraforming Mars, Blood Rage, these are all games that once upon a time in not so recent history were new. And they're not new anymore. They're staples now. And that will always happen. Every single year you'll have games that rise to the top. And every single year you'll have games that enter that cultural sphere of the board games that are constantly pulled out and played. There's a degree of longevity to the games that capture you. And then there's hundreds of games that we never talk about ever again. Next year, I'm going to be doing a video about this. I'm going to be talking next year. I'll be doing a full recap of the 45 games that I was interested in, talking about and showcasing in my, game videos. And then also the games I brought back from the hall. Because honestly, I think the games that I brought back from the hall will have less longevity. And with 45 games, I guarantee you, picking 45, I guarantee some of them will not be games we talk about anymore. I've already played a bunch of games from the hall video, from the games I brought back from Gen Con. And some of them I really enjoy. I'm really excited to talk about. I'm really excited to review, to share with you. And they're going to be around for a long time. And others, you're right, they won't be here next year. And that's the nature of any medium we put out. Music, movies, books, any medium that's out there will have a degree of games that stick around. Well, not games, of some that stick around, some that are talked about, cultural phenomena. We have Knives Out that, capture people. We have the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, for better or for worse. There are so many things that come out that are present that stick around, and there's so many things that are just forgettable and enter the churn as we try to figure out where they are for us. And with that, I'm going to talk about which games I played, because last week I put 10 games on the table and said I want to play these 10 games, and I'm curious which of those 10 games I've played so far, keeping in mind I'm still optimistic about 1 or 2 of them. But from those games, we played the following. I'm just going to go, these are games that you're going to see reviews of, so there's going to be very quick thoughts and recaps on some of them. But starting off, we have... Where are the games? Where are the games that I put on my list? We have Waffle Time. So, did I put Waffle Time on the list? I don't think I did. Finger down. We have Imperial Miners. I already had a chance to play Imperial Miners. What else did I put on my list? Did I get these done? I don't think I got as many done as I wanted to. But I think I still... I should have taken notes on this as what I actually put on the table. But let's start off anyway. So far, I've already covered Imperial Miners. I'm not covered. I've played Imperial Miners from Portal Games. Imperial Miners is a game that's set in the Imperial Settlers universe. Overall, enjoy that one so far. It's very intriguing. I don't know if it has legs for the next few years, but it certainly has legs for another few games as I go into it. It's a not tableau building game. It's a game that escalates as you're ultimately trying to dig deeper and deeper into a mine shaft, and every time you activate a room, you're moving further up the mine shaft, activating all the previous rooms. The problem is across the course of the game, you're only activating 10 rooms, which means it's a quick playing game with a degree of fun little, things you can do to try to get stuff out of it, but it is limited in how wide the game is because it's a shorter game. But so far, charming, fun, definitely hope to play it more. We have Junk Drawer, which expect to see a review on this one soon. Loving Junk Drawer. I think it was in the video last week. I forget what I put in the video. But Junk Drawer. Junk Drawer is definitely one that I'm very much enjoying. Very big fan of it. Expect to see some coverage in this one soon. I think it's fantastic. I think it plays quick. I think it's excellent. I think it's a very, very solid game that I'll have some minor quibbles on it and hope, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens to Junk Drawer. But either way, you expect to see a review coming that one soon. We have Neotopia. I should be reviewing this one soon. I want to get a few more plays in of it first. But Neotopia from Arcane Wonders, it's a very solid game. I don't know if it stands out in a crowded room right now for me. We have games like Millefiori, which I think do Neotopia better for me. So I think Neotopia would have been an amazing game for me 5 years ago. And as it stands right now, I think it's a good game, but I'm not completely blown away. I'm merely fine with it. We have Spellbook. Spellbook's another one that I played that I pulled out. And again, expect to see a review on this one soon. I've already gotten a bunch of plays of Spellbook in this past week. I think Spellbook is very solid, but I also don't know if it's as much for me. Interestingly enough, I said this in my review, but Spellbook is one that I think Spellbook is a game that with an expansion could be amazing for me. With an expansion, with the right module, could be amazing. The base game as it is very intriguing, very simple, very accessible, but I think it does a little bit not enough compared to what an expansion could bring out from the game. And then we have, I can't remember, I put into my last week's video. I'm trying to remember what else I did in the last week's video. I had Revive, I had the White Castle from Devere Games, I had My Island. I covered 4, Dorfromantic. So there's 2 other games I'm missing. I don't remember what the other 2 games were that were in that video, because I picked 10 games. I just covered 4 I didn't play, and I covered 4 I did play. I don't remember what the rest were, so we're going to go with that. We have 4 so far that we've played, and still working on the rest to see what I can get done. Anyways, as far as videos of the week, starting off with this past Saturday, we had a gameplay of Call of Duty from Arcane Wonders. Played through Call of Duty with my friend, with AP. You've seen him on the channel before. Fun, quick gameplay, half an hour, just showing you the basic game, nothing crazy into it. But Call of Duty, it's a fun system that I am curious about how often it hits the table. It's a little gimmicky in what it does. I really enjoy it, and the advanced modes being a lot more to it, but I am curious whether it's too gimmicky to consistently hit the table. I had someone asked me in one of my videos, didn't have a chance to reply yet, but somebody asked me in one of my videos, are you back in the game? And the answer is no, not right now. I think I'd be fine with the retail version of the game, unless of course the publisher sends me one, which I would like, because I enjoy Call of Duty. The question is, how often do games like that hit the table for me? The nature of it being not real time, but simultaneous planning makes it unique, but it doesn't have the tactical... it doesn't have the same tactical reward as a game like Blood Rage or a game like Terraforming Mars, any of those games in that vein, whether strong Euro or strong Ameritrash. It's a little different and a little precise. I am very intrigued to try the multiplayer modes. I think that could be interesting, but I also think it could run the risk of dragging a bit. Ultimately, I think Call of Duty is very good at what it does, and is very unique at what it does. I am curious as to how long the legs are on for that one, so intrigued at that one, but we'll see. Later on Saturday, we had a review for Stranger Things. I really enjoyed Stranger Things, gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's an excellent gateway game that brings people into the hobby with an IP and a good game behind it. For me, it's one that I do not imagine stays in my collection forever, but I do want to continue to play it, at least for now. Then later on Sunday, we have the games behind me. This is a video where I went over the shelves behind me by basically, just showing you all the games behind me as a response to somebody else asking on a video once, hey, what are the reasons for the games that go behind you on your videos? And this was that answer. It was me going through all the games behind me in a video. On Monday we had Two Back Not To Back, going through a bunch of crowdfunding campaigns. This next week's Two Back Not To Back, or Monday was a very short week. Monday was only 5. There was 6 campaigns to go over. A very, very short week, but also money saved and all that. Next week, we will not have a Two Back Not To Back, so we'll see what happens there. Then on Tuesday, we have a gameplay for Worms from Mantic Games coming out to Kickstarter, but gameplay for Worms, a short gameplay, quick to the point, to just see who destroys each other in this video. And then we had later on, this is a paid gameplay for the channel. The Call of Duty gameplay was not paid, by the way. The Call of Duty, they did pay for a preview. I threw in the gameplay because I think it's a fun game and it's a good opportunity to show it. Then we're on Tuesday right now. Tuesday, we also had an Imperium the Contention review. This is coming to you from the same company that did Slay the Spire. The review for Imperium the Contention, a 4X game, very card-driven. Very much enjoyed this one. I filmed the review a long time ago. I've actually already gotten rid of the game. I think it's a very, very well done game. It's a little harder to table as much. I've actually played the solo mode as well and enjoyed that. I overall enjoy it. It falls into the category of lots of games and have to make hard choices. And then lastly on Tuesday, we had a preview for Galaxy Postman. This is going to be an upcoming campaign, I believe on GameFound. An upcoming campaign. This is going to be a bit of a space exploration, pick up and deliver. It's almost like Xayah Legend of Adventure system, but like much, much lighter than that. It's Xayah light, effectively. But Galaxy Postman, we'll also have a gameplay going up on the channel later as well. Then we had on Wednesday we have a a review for Tucana Builders. They're coming to you from Porta Games. I very much enjoyed this one with a caveat. You basically, effectively, I think the game itself is great. I think the scoring is very fiddly. This is the kind of game I would love to play on Board Game Arena, but in real life, the scoring was a little too fiddly for me, so it's a game that I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I like it. Or did I give it a 3? I may have even knocked it down to a 3. I have to double check. Because the problem is it's such a weird one, because the game itself I really, really enjoy, but the scoring took it down for me a strong notch. Then later on Wednesday, we had a review for Waffle Time from AEG. Totally fine game. It's a 3 out of 5. Nothing impressive, nothing bad. It's a good game that just is done better by many other games. The theme is very appealing, so I think it's a good gateway game. Very charming, very accessible, just not one I feel the need to pull out compared to other games in that genre. Then lastly, on Wednesday, we had a gameplay for Tanares Adventures. Hopefully, it depends if I got it edited in time, but hopefully we had a gameplay for Tanares Adventures going up on Wednesday. We'll see how that played out. Which brings us to Thursday. Thursday we had 10 games I'm not playing but need to be. This is basically a video or 10 games I'm not playing but not getting rid of. It's a video of me going over a bunch of games that I am not tabling as much as I would like, but I still refuse to get rid of them. I have to take a look and see if when the next time I'm going to play one of these games. I want to play these games. These are very good games. There's a reason I still own them, but some games are harder to table than others. I play a lot of games, but it doesn't mean I play all my games all the time. Some of these games I probably should get rid of. It's been a while for some of them, but I don't want to, so we'll see. Which brings us to Friday. Friday we had 2 videos going up. We had a Deluxification video for Deluxified board games and all that, going through a bunch of things from Everdell Critters to the Great Wall insert, all these various things you can check out. There's actually a promo code as well for one of those in the Great Wall. Not the Great Wall. Yeah, the Great Wall. The Great Wall Tinkering Paws is a promo code for, like, I think 20% off getting inserts from Tinkering Paws. If you want that, you can check that out as well. But my regular Deluxification series that I put up every single, well, month and all that. And then later on Friday, we had the Where Are They Now for last year of August, just going through 5 years of August, picking up various games, highlighting them, thoughts, opinions, where they stayed, where they left, and all of that as I go through that video. And that is basically the week, which brings us today. Today we'll have a few things going up. We will have a My City review. I know I told you it was going up last week. Things got moved around, and instead My City will be going up this week. And then we also have a review for Spellbook. Like I said already, Spellbook will be going up. We'll talk more about that one, which I already gave you some of the thoughts on, so I guess I may have spoiled some of that. But either way, Spellbook, a review for Spellbook if you want to check that out. Which brings us to next week. Next week we'll have a few more 20 Strong things. I don't know if we'll have a review or a gameplay. We'll have some 20 Strong material to go on. Basically, I'm continuing to dive into that one. Really enjoying that one, to the point that, like, I drafted my own rules for a Burn Cycle 20 Strong deck. It's not going to go anywhere. I just had like ideas, thought were fun and cool. So either way, but that's going to be 20 strong. We'll have some more stuff there. We'll have 10 marketing tricks that work for crowdfunding. This is a problem basically, but instead of 2 back or not to back this week, we're going to have 10 marketing tricks that work, that get your attention, that convince you to back, just so you know and you're aware of them. Some of them I don't like, some of them I don't care about at all, but it's just so you know and you're aware of what's out there when you're backing crowdfunding games. And then past that, we'll have upcoming crowdfunding campaigns for September as well. And which brings us to the games on the table. The games on the table, I'm prepping for a short trip. We're going to be playing a bunch of games, and to that end, we have Numpsters, Super Slopes, a new game from Bunch of Games. I already played this one. Pretty decent. Still developing opinions. I've only played this once. And then we have Ancient Realm. These are going to be 3 games that I bring as part of my usual travel bag that I have when I have, you know, button shy travel, all that. Then we have Monikers, and Decrypto, and Zuvatus, all games that play at slightly higher player counts, because I'll be playing a bunch of games at slightly higher player counts, and I want to come well prepared. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great week, and as always, I hope you have a good one.